Welcome to the Art Lady's home. Today I just picked up some of these zucchini, and this is an unusual zucchini here. Look at that. I picked them up at a local farmer's market, the one that's right around the corner from my house. She said it tastes a little bit different than the regular zucchini. I have both with me, so I'm going to try both just to experiment with the new kind of zucchini. And then of course I have the other one just as backup. But I'm going to stuff them all. It's going to be a stuffed zucchini. I also picked up some onions, some green peppers, and I've got some tomatoes that I'm going to throw in. As a substitute, you can use a can of diced tomatoes. I'm trying right now to use less canned items. I'm using more fresh produce as part of my summer challenge since I'm off school, not teaching this summer. I'm going to be doing more healthier cooking. So we're using lots of things from the farmer's market. I'm going to prepare this by washing all of the vegetables thoroughly, and then I'm going to be slicing the zucchini horizontally. I'm going to dice up the tomatoes and peppers and onions, and then I'm going to add it to my pot to cook. For this, I'm going to ground, this is almost a pound of ground, I ground up a roast. I had the butcher grind a roast, and it's almost a pound left. And I threw in 2 hot Italian sausages because this is going to be kind of an Italian flavor stuffed zucchini. And we're going to be using some oregano, basil, tomato blend, also some oregano. Now if you don't have this blend that I have here, I picked these up. I love going to TJ Maxx and getting these blends. But if you don't have this, just add some basil and some salt to it, extra salt to that. But basically that has the basil in it that I ran out of. I'm going to add oregano, some black pepper, and sea salt. And then I didn't have a fresh garlic. I should have grabbed them at the farmer's market today. I totally forgot. But I'm going to just throw in some of this minced garlic here. But anyways, we're going to start off rinsing everything, cleaning everything, preparing the zucchini, and then I'll show you what it's looking like as I start cooking. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just washing everything in my clean sink, and the sink that I have next to my stove is one I use just for vegetables, so I don't have anything really dirty in here. I don't use meats or any other kind of food scrapings and things, so I keep it pretty clean. That way I can just leave my veggies right in the sink. So I'm going ahead and I'm washing these up, and then what I do is I place them in another bucket right next to the sink after they've been cleaned. They just go into this giant bucket here so that the dripping water doesn't get all over my counter, and I give them a good cleaning. And then I dice them up right next to my stove. That way everything is right here and handy next to my stove. When I designed my kitchen, I designed it this way so that my food preparation is very quick and very easy. So I'm going to go ahead and finish scrubbing up these vegetables, and then I'm going to dice them up. Right now I have my sausage and hamburger simmering. I put a little bit of water in there because my beef has no grease, and I wanted that sausage to simmer a little bit. Like I have said before in many of my videos, I am a lazy cook, so I'm cooking my sausage and my hamburger at the same time. I'm going to put my hamburger off to the side, and I'm going to dice up that sausage real small so that it can completely cook. And we're going to be simmering this on low for a while, so the sausage is going to have plenty of time for cooking, but I'm going to do it together. And that way, actually, my hamburger gets a little flavor, too, of that sausage. Now, my hamburger, like I said, is ground. Let me shut this off. My hamburger is ground roast, so it doesn't have any fat to it. And I'll just drain off any leftover liquid from the sausage, if there's any. And from experience, those sausage have very little fat in them as it is. So I'm getting that ready, and I'll let you know what it looks like in a minute. I've just diced up some of the onions, real small, and the pepper, real thin too. I use my little chopper here. I have this handheld chopper. Since I'm doing more than one item, I'll grab my chopper. I diced it up real fine. Those 3 onions were really, really, really small. And you can see how I've kind of pushed this aside, the meat, as I'm letting that sausage cook. I've also cut up the sausage into bits, real small pieces, just so that simmers up real well. I want to make sure that's fully cooked before I start stirring in that hamburger. Because pork, it does have the pork in it, which you have to cook a little bit longer. But I'm going to be baking this anyway, so I'm really not overly concerned. I just want all that pink to be gone first. But I do want this to simmer, so I'm losing some of this juice here. I want to get rid of that. Otherwise, I may drain some of this because I'm pretty juicy. And once I add my tomatoes, it's going to be juicier too because they're fresh tomatoes. Like I said, I'm trying to do more of this fresh from the garden cooking. I wish I grew some of this stuff. This summer I haven't grown much stuff, or this winter I didn't grow much. We're in Florida, so we can grow during the winter. And my sister grows a lot herself, but I'm a little bit behind on my gardening this year. But anyways, I got them at the farmer's market, so I guess it's closest to homegrown as you can get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cooking up this, and I'm going to chop in that one more onion. I'll show you how fast it is. I just placed it in my little chopper. They are so small it fills the one chopper, and I just give a few pumps to it, and then it's diced up pretty good. Now I'm going to clean this into the pot here. Any scrapings on the onions. I think I am going to drain a little bit of this, so I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to start adding my tomatoes because this is a pretty little bit runny now that my sausage is almost fully cooked. Okay. I've just diced up those 3 tomatoes and I ran them through my little dicer. So they're pretty cubed. They're real tiny, shredded pretty good. And so I'm going to simmer this to cook my hamburger now. And I'm going to add at the same time, you can see how I've emptied the water. There's not much water right now. All these vegetables are going to provide a lot of juice. And I'm going to simmer it on medium with the cover off just to absorb it. Because this is going to produce a lot of liquid here. That's why I had to drain a little bit from cooking that sausage. Otherwise it'd be too runny and watery. So right now we're just going to simmer this real good and blend it in. I'm going to add my spices now. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of oregano to this. And I'm going to add some of this mixture. This has the basil in it. I love basil. A good teaspoon of the basil mix as well. And this has dried tomato in it too, so like I said, just the plain basil's fine. If you like more oregano, you can add more oregano. I'm going to add a little under a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm always scared about this black pepper because one time I over added. But you know to taste on yours. This is about a little under a teaspoon. Yeah, I kind of ruined a pot of soup one time dumping in too much years ago. So I always black pepper my food to taste after it's cooked. I don't add too much. And then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt right now. If you don't like adding any salt, you don't have to. That's up to you. Some people are on salt-free diets. We don't cook with lots of salt. I'm gonna just make sure this meat's getting cooked here, this hamburger. And I use the sea salt, chunk sea salt. It's a Mediterranean chunk sea salt. I don't know, I think the flavors are better. I just like this better. It's thick salt. You can see it's already forming a lot of the juice right here. I may pop this up to 5. Give it a little. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to prepare the zucchini. And I'm going to slice them horizontally, and then I'm going to scoop out the zucchini and add it to this. That way the filling has some zucchini in it as well. I'm anxious to see what these other zucchini look like. Let me cut one open and show you how I do it. I cut the tops off and the little back, and then like this, the top and the back. And now I'm going to slice it horizontally like this. So I have 2 halves. And then I'm going to slice open. This is that zucchini I've never seen before, that kind. And then I'm going to slice, scoop out this with a spoon. Let me show you over here. Scrape it out. And then I'm going to throw that in as I scrape it out. I'll slide the... Right now what I'm going to do is I'm preparing my zucchini boats. This is the zucchini that I'm familiar with. And then here's the zucchini that I didn't quite... I've never seen before, this yellower color. I have no idea if it's the same or what. But this one seems to be shorter and fatter, which I kind of liked for stuffing, so we're going to try that. But this is what we do. We end up scooping out the centers of the zucchini and leaving a little pocket, kind of like what it looks like after an avocado after you pull the seed out. So it leaves a little pocket, and that way we can stuff it, and then it won't fall out the edge. You see how I've left a little kind of like a bridge here, or a wall, so it doesn't fall out. And I've done it on both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that. It works best pretty much with a teaspoon. And so I give a little push into the teaspoon, and I'm just doing, let me do the other side too, just so I know where to stop. A little cut. And then I'm just scraping the tip as I dig down, carving. Ooh, it's kind of like stone carving, but a lot easier. So, carving in slightly and carefully. Now you don't want to go all the way through. You don't want to leave any holes. You want to be able to have it so of a food, and that's basically how you do it. And let me show you on this one again. Give a little push, give a little push, and lightly scrape it first till you go down, till you reach the depth you need. Very, very easy. And what I'll do is I will sprinkle this lightly with some table salt so that the flavor is underneath my little bed. This is like a little bed of zucchini, and then we'll put our stuffing inside this little channel that we're digging right here. Now this stuff I'm going to throw in as I make it into my hamburger mix. And that way that gets cooked up a little bit, and we have some of the zucchini flavor in with the meat and tomato mixture. And I want this to be more, like I said, more vegetable. I'm stretching that meat, and I'm making it not as fattening. I want to eat more vegetable this summer and less anything else. So, I'm going to get all of them ready, which will take me a minute while this is cooking. And then I'll show you how we stuff them. I'm now preparing the little boats. I'm putting some pepper on them, light pepper. You know, this is optional if you want to admit it. You can. Taste your meat, see if it needs more salt or not. You can put light salt on here if you'd like, on the boats. What I did was I took a clear, a glass dish, and I put some olive oil on the bottom, and then I diluted some spaghetti sauce. I'm kind of cheating here with the store-bought stuff instead of making my own. But I diluted some of this with water and put it on the bottom here so that these little guys won't stick. So a little bit of olive oil on the bottom, and then some diluted spaghetti sauce with water. Now I'm going to fill these with the meat mixture. And actually, I have 2 pans. I bought a lot of the zucchini, so it'll be great for leftovers. And now I'm just going to basically just stuff them right here with the meat mixture. And my zucchini has cooked up really well, almost to nothing. I like adding the Italian sausage, especially now. I used hot sausage, but if you want to use the mild or omit it, that's up to you. Just add a little bit more meat then. But we like things a little bit spicy here, so we put in the, so we put in the Italian sausage, the spicy kind, the hot kind. So I'm gonna I'm not gonna stuff them real full, because I want to make sure I have enough for the second pan of these. And then if I need to come back and add, if I have any meat mixture left over, I'll come back to it. Now some people pre-cook these a little bit in the oven. I don't bother because mine's pretty juicy, and I scrape a lot of that flesh out. And cooking it for about 35 minutes, so it'll just do it fine. It'll give it enough. Now let me do the second pan of it. I have another pan of this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up sprinkling the cheeses on top and then drizzle with the leftover sauces. And what I use is I have some 5 cheese right here. Some 5 cheese Italian, and that's what I'll sprinkle over. I'm not going to do it right now though. I want to see if I have to add more meat to it. I want to use up all the meat between the 2 trays, and I think I will have enough. I'll show you once I finish adding the meat to the other tray. Okay, the second tray, I just had enough meat to fill in that second tray, so that was pretty good. And now I'm going to sprinkle this with some 5 cheese Italian, and I'm going to sprinkle on both, and then I'm going to cook it for, like I said, 30-35 minutes. And it should be delicious. You want to cook it until the zucchini's tender. And then I'm going to save some cheese to sprinkle on top. I want this cheese to melt all into this, and then I'll sprinkle some on top right before it comes out of the oven. But this I want to soak and absorb in. So I'm putting it on a 350 oven, by the way, and it's a preheated 350 oven. I don't want to go too much hotter with these glass dishes. And I'm going to cook it for about 30-35 minutes. I'm going to test the zucchini, see how that's done, and if they're done, then I will sprinkle the last bits of this cheese on top, a little bit more on top for fresh cheese, and pull it out of the oven. I am going to now drizzle a little bit of spaghetti sauce, and I want to use a spoon for this. I want to drizzle a little bit of spaghetti sauce down the center of this, like that, down the center of each one, and then that way the meat won't dry out. And then I will drizzle the cheese on top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how I do my cheese. Okay, here they are out of the oven after 35 minutes, nice and tender, beautiful. You can see there's lots of juice at the bottom here from those zucchinis. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some provolone cheese. Now you can use provolone, mozzarella, whatever kind of cheese you'd like. You can use it shredded. I just happen to have it already just in these pieces like this. So I'm using them. And I'm just going to put this on top and bake it for about 10 more minutes for the cheese to melt through. And that way you have some nice stringy stuff on the top. You can see how that Asiago's just melted in. I mean, not Asiago, but the 5 cheese Italian has just melted into that spaghetti sauce. They smell heavenly. And so I'm going to just put this on top like this, and this will just blend in. If you have some sprinkled cheese, you can use that, left over from the other package. But I like mixing my cheese. That's why I like that 5 cheese blend. And then this is that pure provolone, just to give it that stringiness when you pull in. Mozzarella does the same too. When you slice it open, that nice stringy feel on the top here. So I'm just tearing this and dividing it. I'm using about a ½ pound between the 2 trays. Just enough to cover it. And I'll just use the rest of that there. And I'm going to stick it in 10 more minutes and bake it. Smells delish. And here they are. They just came out of the oven and they're absolutely delicious. What I did was I shut off the oven. I just left them in there to stay warm. And I cooked up a pot of rice. And let me show you what we did. For the rice, I used a package of brown rice. And as I was cooking the brown rice, I added some olive oil to the water, and then a lot of Italian seasonings in the water, with a little bit of fajita pepper, and so it gives it a little bit of spice, and because I don't really care for plain brown rice, and they came out delicious. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drizzle a little bit of, let's see over here, take some of this juice and just drizzle it over the rice here, because this is all that great drippings from the zucchini and the meat. And I made a lot of juice, actually. Look how much juice is in that pan. So I serve this over the rice, and it gives it a little bit of flavor. And they came out really great. So I hope you try it. And actually my 13-year-old son is gobbling it up. So it passes the kid test. For someone who doesn't care for zucchini, it's a great way of spicing up your zucchini. So let me know how you like it.